Blog Talk Radio.
The violators, knuckleheads, crumbs, and chain snatchers, terrorizing with numbers, attitude, and stature. Playing tough guys, but really chatty patties, picking on innocent women and children just like Gabby. Tacky, driving Rage City furious, but the one bringing the fight to them, serious. Put hands on you, feet and elbows. She's down to knuckle up with any and all foes. Her bros, B-boys, roughneck skaters. Rico, Charles, known as the Jawbreakers. Handle you today and not mañana. With the one woman army they call Azana. Biker, duplicator, putting you in traction with the divine cleric and elder name Reaction. Vigilante justice, no apologies. Geneticists with bronze, we lead to prodigy. Speaking of brawn, this last cat's a massive titan. 3 bats, a hockey mask, and a knack for fighting. The Dodger, smash your head and rib cage. Violators beware, they are the punks of rage.
Yes, sir. Mic check 1 2. Yo, it is a Friday night. So, ladies and gentlemen who are listening out there tonight, you know what time it is. It is PUNXofRAGE radio time. My name is Joe Currie. I'm here with D-Nick of the legendary Microphone Misfits, Chicago Stand Up. I believe we're going to have Chris turn in the chat. You know, it's going to be the 3-headed monster. The whole engine will be here tonight. And we're going to have a goodie tonight. Special guest, Jocelyn Short. She's a phenomenal artist. I met her. Me and Chris, we were booth mates at WakandaCon 2019, which was an interesting experience all the way around as far as the convention goes. You know, and she has some really, really good work. I think I was talking to D-Nick behind the scenes. I think she may have met her. I'm not sure. We'll talk to Jocelyn once she gets on.
I remember meeting her because we were all at WakandaCon. Very interesting convention, and that's our way of being nice for saying it was kind of mediocre. But you know, we was talking about having a show just about this whole experience, and I was telling D, I think Chris covered it in one of the shows. Me and him had some things to say about that, but yeah, we won't get into that now. But before Jocelyn comes on, we got to go into our pull list, which is stuff that's happening in and around the culture. You know, as the world's beginning to open up a little bit more. You know, we're almost back. Almost with the crossing fingers. One of the things, you know, a lot can happen in 2 weeks, I guess. But one of the things that happened, you know, was a few announcements, a few things to get the ball rolling again. Marvel out of nowhere, we just sitting there minding our own business, and Marvel sort of dropped their Phase 4 trailer to kind of address, you know, a lot of stuff has been pushed back due to the pandemic, but they pretty much put it out there as far as all the stuff that we can expect to see in the coming months and years. You know, they had, you know, Stan Lee doing the narration, you know, had a bunch of reactors almost tearing up, you know, that the whole we're a family, that whole thing. But some good stuff is slated, man. We got, you know, Black Widow finally on the way. We got Shang-Chi on the way. And what I'm really wanting to see, the Eternals is on the way. And they just start going down the list. A new Spider-Man, a new Doctor Strange, new Ant-Man and Wasp. Then at the very end, they debut, or we got a Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Then they dropped the Fantastic Four logo. So those who are fans know what that means. So we're going to see how long the MCU can keep this going. They've had a run for a minute. So as far as that, did you see the trailer that Marvel dropped with the whole, you know, they just showed everything, showed the whole hand? I did. You know, I'm
I'm interested. You know, I'm interested in seeing how that all plays, and you know,
yeah,
and you know, also like DC dropped some news too. They have a new black Superman that is in the works. You know.
is that I thought that was a rumor. Is that's fact? Oh man.
Yeah, that's confirmed.
Oh wow. Okay. It's gonna be interesting to see how they move that ball forward. Because I know there is a black Superman. I can't remember his name. You know, because at first I think when they first announced it, or some time ago, they thought there was gonna be he's gonna turn Clark Kent into a black guy. Everybody's like, oh, I don't know. You know. But yeah, that's gonna be.
It revealed who it was. It was I forget one of the L's, but it was like the Earth 2 thing, and I mean, you know, let's see, you know, let's see how Token Man does.
Hopefully they put a little bit more into it than that. We'll see, man. We'll see. Because the first thing I thought, I think everybody kind of thinking like, oh, okay, you know, what they're gonna do here. But if they do it right, hopefully it should be okay. I'm thinking so. So yeah. So that's some news. And then you know, somebody was voicing, are we fatigued? Are we getting superhero fatigued everywhere, like from the theater to the you know the streaming sites, TV? Now I think there's still an appetite for it. I think people are still. I mean, some of these shows and movies are still doing really good numbers. So, yeah. So we'll see.
Hey, that's a weird. When people say that, I'm always like questioning like, what is your point for what is the reason you would say that? Like, because it's a weird thing to say. Like, you know, I don't know the other genre that they say that in. Like, is there a horror movie fatigue?
That's a great point.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's weird. That's a weird thing to say. And I think when people say that, my mind automatically goes to you're tired of art house films not being mainstream or whatever, and it's just like, man, whatever. Things have their time. Things taper off. You know, like that's just a weird thing to be. That's always a weird statement. And anytime I hear I read a publication that says that, or I hear someone in the interview say that, I always be like, man, what you on? What the fuck is wrong with you? What's going on in your like head? You know what I'm saying?
You know what? It was funny. It was when this columnist saying that, or a critic, like, oh, okay, whatever. But like when it's like an actor or somebody, I go, God, man, like it's one of those things where I remember at one point actors were coming out saying, oh, this is just these are tentpole films. These are not real. Like, you know, they was defining what real film is. It was like, oh man, come on. You know, these movies are doing well. Your whole thing right now is to find yourself in one of these franchises. That's what you probably should actually do. And so anyway, you know, one more thing, and then we're going to bring our special guest on. She's in the building right now. We don't have to bring her out. So for those who listening, it's going to be on. But the other thing was that was a major announcement coming from the Regina King camp, man. She's going to direct and produce the Bitterroot film, series based off the comic book series. Chuck Brown, Sanford Green, God, I can't. I'm drawing a blank. David F. Walker. I'm sorry, and shout out to David Walker. He's probably gonna be joining us next show to get that, to drop some more knowledge on that. But
it came out of nowhere, and it set the internet abuzz, man. I'm kind of happy to see anything that's coming out of Regina King's camp. And, you know, it's she's been doing really good in my book right now, so I'm excited, man. I'm you know, anything she wants to drop, be it in front of the camera or behind it, I'm just with that, man. You know. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
A lot of actors, particularly black female actors, that are getting into the director, producer, you know, writer roles, are looking for comic book IP, particularly like when we was talking about WakandaCon. You know, I got to meet Eric Alexander at WakandaCon because I mean our panels were back to back, and she bought like one of the Escape from, like, she bought Escape from Babylon Volume 3, and you know, people don't know Eric Alexander played Pam on the Cosby Show, and she played Max on Living Single. Is her most notable roles. She's been in movies. She was in Get Out and all of that. But so she's like they are looking for, you know, black indie creator IPs, you know, to develop, because right now, if the top, you know, box office, you know, and television shows is all like is in the superhero genre, and the big two, and dare I say, and even the big three, if you include Image in that, you know, ain't many roles for us. You know what I'm saying? There's not many, like there's not many for us. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you can try to take a white character and, you know, put a black actor in that old role, but I think people are kind of tired of that, where it's just like, man, I don't need Earth 2 Black Superman. I can get Icon, and if I can't get Icon, let me go in the indie level and get him a shot. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of those actors are mining for talent, especially if they're into the whole, you know, giving black people a shot. So, like, salute to Regina King, salute to Erica Alexander, man, and all of them that are putting stuff in development. Hell, 50 Cent even too. RZA.
Yeah, all the way around, man. So, yeah. So without further ado, you know what I mean? Without further ado, in that legacy of young ladies who are jamming, man, we're going to bring out Miss Jocelyn Short. Like I said before, we met her at WakandaCon 2019, and she's joining us right now.
Hey, guys.
I mean, you know how the people are,
Y'all hear me?
You know, you. Oh yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, okay, cool. Cool.
There we go. Okay, everything's like and cool. Okay, welcome, Jocelyn. Welcome to the show. You know,
hey guys.
You know what's up? Got a couple folks. She got, you know, Laura Turner's in the chat holding down. You know, we had spoke at we met at WakandaCon 2019. I don't think you came in 2018. I know for a fact. Well, of course, you were there at 2019 at the fabulous WakandaCon, where we were booth neighbors, you know, and
yes,
and we were able to chill out. I think D-Nick was in the building. We had Royce was our other booth neighbor across the way, and we was trying to, you know, make our way through it. But, you know, like I said, I told D and we told Chris, that'll be a conversation for another day. Tonight, we're going to talk about what's going on in your world and your life, and definitely going to get into the bearers concept, which I really dug. I picked up 2 of the prints at the show. Some really excellent work, man. And so we're going to talk about that. So for those out there listening and those who will listen a little bit later, just give people a brief introduction of yourself and, what you've been doing.
Sure. So my name is Jocelyn Short, and I'm a concept artist, just freelance. I've been mainly working just with indie people. I haven't worked for any big, companies or anything yet. But that's mainly what I've been doing, just freelancing over the past year. I'm not gonna lie, last year was pretty rough, with COVID and everything, and it kind of like I had 2020 set up like pre-COVID for me to just like hit the ground running with bearers, and then COVID happened and like all of the wind got knocked out of my sails, and I lost a lot of my momentum. But with that said, even if I didn't like produce a whole lot of work for bearers, I wrote a lot. So I was world building and continuing to develop bearers all last year, which was great, like while I was still freelancing. So that's been really cool. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. The past couple months I was working on a project. It's a virtual play called Black Feminist Video Game, where it's a play and it has a video game component to it. And the video game part of it is like supposed to be like a 90s pixel game. So I did all of the pixel art for the video game portion of the play, which is still running right now. If anybody's interested, I can share a link. But that's what I've been working on the past couple months and just been writing. So as far as Bearers is concerned, what it is a concept that just started with some cool character designs that I made. And essentially what bears are is they are spirit couriers who escort souls who've died alone to their final resting place of their choosing. And so, like I said, it just started with just a few character designs, and all of this really started at BlurredCon a couple years prior to WakandaCon, I believe, and a woman had approached my table. She, she was very interested in like what I was doing, and she was like, "What is this?" And I told her what the concept was, and she was like, "This is great," and she gave me her card. She told me she was someone who worked at Monkey Paw Productions at the time, and she hit me up. She sent me an email after the convention and was like, "I would love to talk more about this concept. Do you please tell me more?" And I was like, "Okay." So I told her more about it, and she was like, "This sounds great. Would you be willing to pitch this to us?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And so, but I didn't know anything about pitching. I didn't know anything about writing. I literally just had these character designs as prints that I just made for fun. And I was like, "Okay, I mean, yeah, I'm a pitch a film to y'all, okay." And so from there, I learned about like screenwriting and like was building a pitch and started like writing a draft, and it took a while because I didn't know what I was doing. From there, this person no longer works on Monkey Paw, but we're still working together. Like she's working with me to help develop it further. And right now, where Bearers is I'm working to develop a comic for it, alongside with making a full-size art book. Like it'll be like a coffee table type of art book that'll serve as kind of like a world Bible for these characters. Right. And the comic is basically going to be from the perspective of the mother bear that I designed, and it'll focus on like how she died and how she became a bear. And I think it'll be a good introduction to the world and some of the other characters and her, and lead up to events of the screenplay. So I'm planning on making this just a whole thing. It's just
hey,
a
that's
lot
some
to
news
do.
right there. Yeah. Because when you first brought it, like I knew, of course, we knew about the Prince, what have you, but like I didn't know. And I know you wanted to do more with it, but that's some exciting stuff right there. And props for taking that all on. Like, you know, having to just learn how to write a screenplay, that part of the business. You know, that's gonna be and put me down for one of those art books. I need one of those. So please do that. But yeah, you let me scratch off a couple questions. You asked a few questions I had. You already kind of took out. So let me just scratch them off. But no, the Bears is a fire concept, and I'm glad you're doing that with it. I think it's something that's it's gonna be really, really good. You know, as it relates. And then you mentioned something about the pandemic, and I think it took a blow out of all of us. Every single one of us had like these big 2020 plans, and it just kind of said, So,
yep.
Looking forward to 2021. Are you ready to get back to the convention circuit? Are you prepared for that? Are you nervous about it, or are you just ready to just jump on in?
I feel everything. So I'm nervous. I'm excited. So I'm going to BlurCon. I have another table. I have a panel at BlurCon. So I'll be promoting Bearers. I'm hoping to have at least a first issue of this comic done by the time BlurCon comes around. There's another convention that I'm scheduled to go to. I believe I have to check on it, make sure it's still happening, called Black Label Comic-Con, I believe, or Black Sci-Fi Convention. Either one of those. Those were conventions I had planned to go on those. So long story short, I am planning to get back in this convention stuff, and I guess, yes, to answer your question, getting back into the convention stuff, I'm excited to get back into conventions and telling. I love conventions. I love meeting people. When I went to a Comic-Con and met you guys, that was literally the best, like actually literally the best. You guys are so great and so dope. That was my first time. Yeah. Huh?
The tear. I said the tear in my left eye.
No, you guys, like, for real, you guys were so great. Like, that was my first time. I feel like I've been to Chicago before, but not really. And that was my first time in Chicago by myself. I didn't know anybody there. I knew one person, but we weren't that close. Like, we met up before the convention, just, like, had lunch, but that was, like, it. And I went to the convention. I didn't know anybody at the convention. I didn't know how I was going to do. I paid for everything to get there out of pocket. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work out, and then I met you guys, and it was like, it was just really great. You guys treated me like I was already a friend, which I need you guys to know that our whole experience together has really stuck with me. So I really appreciated how you guys treated me at the convention. It was so great. It was really cool to meet Royce, too. I actually did some work with him after the convention, and that was really awesome. So his comic that's out now, Legend of Althea, I did concept designs for it. So, like, for his characters and stuff, I helped come up with some designs for him, so that was really cool. Yeah.
And I just tagged him in this where it's live, so hopefully he'll catch some of this now. I had a few more. Do you have any? I'm not sure if you met D-Nick or not. He's hanging out with us. He was there around us too, but I don't know if you met him or not. But anyway,
I was floating, and I was at your booth a lot, until like because the PocketCon booth was outside, and like so I was doing panels. And as well as going back and forth with the Pocket, but I do remember meeting you and seeing. I think I got, like, as I looked at through your website, prepping for the show, I was like, I have this print. I bought this. Like, what I'm saying? I had to meet her. Yeah. I wanted to ask, like, man, how did your journey as an artist, like, start? What was your origin story? Like, how did you, like, how did it How did it begin for you?
I don't. So I'll just explain it. Fair warning, I don't feel like it's a very prolific story by any means. But I drew like how normal kids drew as like a kid. I didn't really take it super serious, but it was very much in elementary school up to even through like college. So I went to community college. So like elementary school up until like community college, I was kind of like the art kid who was like the kid who was better at everyone at art. That's not the greatest place to be in when you're trying to develop art. But, you know, it was fine. It's fine for like elementary school and middle school, and high school was very much that. College, it was that. I transferred to, let me back up a little bit. So high school was coming to an end, you know, and my whole mindset about like college and high school was like, well, you know, graduating from high school is not really an option. It was just something that was a given that I was going to do. It wasn't a problem for me. I was a pretty good student, but I was just kind of like, what do I do for, like, what am I going to study? And I had always drawn, but I had like discovered a love of singing in 10th grade, and I was like, man, maybe I should study music. And then I was like, well, let me just go ahead and study art because, like, I've always done that, and it, like, runs in my family, and nobody I know in my family has, like, pursued art, and I think that could be cool. And I was like, okay. So I pursued that, and I went to community college. I got a certificate of illustration, and that was really cool. Some of my teachers from there, I still talk to them, and that's been awesome. And then I transferred, full disclosure, I wasn't the best student in college. I thought you could do the same thing in high school, in college, and that didn't work out. I didn't do a good job in community college. I had a full scholarship too. I had a full scholarship to like my community college, and I lost it all because I was a terrible student because I didn't know how to study. I knew how to like appease teachers in high school and like not cause trouble and be okay and like get good grades and stuff, and that held me over. But that doesn't work for college when you need to like know things, right? So I had lost my scholarship, and I was like, okay, well, I need to like not fail community college, so I had to take classes over and pay out of pocket, and that was fine. It just took me longer to get out of community college, and then from there, you know, I got a certificate. I didn't want to get a full associate's degree because it didn't really matter. I'm like, I'm studying art, like, who cares? So from there, I transferred from my community college to the Academy of Art University, and I learned about the major of visual development, which is like concept art for animated films. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And, you know, because I had never heard of like a term for it before. Like I'd seen concept art for video games before, but I didn't know it was like a thing. And then I saw that major, and I was like, oh, yeah, I want to do that. So I went there, and the actual campus was in San Francisco, and I decided to do their online program, so I just stayed home and did online school for the rest of my college career. And it was still cool because I learned a lot. I do feel like I probably handicapped. I feel like I do best in social situations, and like, you know, go like that whole art environment of critiquing each other and being in the same situation and area and like living together and being in San Francisco. I feel like I missed out on that a little bit, but it's all good. Like I still learned. I got an art education, but I still didn't quite like. It was very much a situation where it's like what you put out of it. What you put into it, you get out of it. And I didn't really feel like I put as much into it as I could have. I feel like I took advantage of the fact that I was in school and could have studied and like practiced really hard. And so I graduated, you know, I graduated, and that was fine. I just felt, you know, kind of a little lost. I was like, I don't really know what to do now, because I didn't feel like my work was good enough to work anywhere. And so I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'll just do whatever. And in the fall, I took a mentorship from this concept artist named Anthony Jones. He's a great artist. He's most recent stuff he's done concept art for is like Love, Death, and Robots and like the Sonic movie, and like he's great. So I did a mentorship with him like that fall. I guess I graduated 2017, and that helped me a lot. You know, I was like, oh, I didn't even know I could do art like this. Like, and it just took a month of his mentorship to like get me to understand like what I could do. And I was like, great. And so from there, I was like, I just decided to apply to conventions, you know, because I was like, you know, why not? I feel like I can do what these folks are doing. I feel like my stuff looks, you know, as good, if not better than what people in these conventions are doing. So I was like, why not? So I did that, and I didn't know what would come out of it. I just was like, let me just do this. And so I went to a local convention called Anime USA. That was my first convention. Full stuff, met a lot of cool people. A lot of people were excited about what I was doing, and I was like, great, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm glad everyone's excited about it. And then from there, I just decided to keep doing conventions.
Right there, boy. You know what I mean? Fair, full disclosure, this is all through the grace of just, I still live with my folks. Like, I have space and room to be able to, like, figure it out, and so I'm very grateful. You know, but, so I just kept doing conventions. I, you know, let BlurredCon convention, which essentially changed my life. Because, like, I just did those character design. Like, I was just painting and designing characters like I do, you know, and I made them into prints because I thought they looked cool. And then she came to my table, and, like, she planted the idea that, like, something I did could turn into something more. And I had never thought that way before. I didn't think that anything I did really could be anything big. And I still struggle with that a little bit, to be honest. But the fact that she is still interested in it, even after these years of just, like, knowing about it and knowing me, is like, okay, I'm trying to work on it. Like, hey, you can build something. Like, this is something, and, like, you can make it something. Like, it can be a thing that can be big. People can be interested in it. You can make money off of it. You can have an IP in the world that you own. You can have something in the world that you own. And I was like, I'd never considered that before. And so that's something I'm still trying to wrap my head around, you know, or even decide if I need to wrap my head around it. I don't know. I have a lot of complexes. Well, no, that's
I mean, that's what makes us interesting creators, like our quirky weirdness. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we all weirdos. We all a bunch of fucking weirdos. That like that's why we do this. You know, and that's the beauty of it. Because you know it's you know we joke about it on the show and off mics all the time about like the gloom and doom of the artist's life and all of this, and you know Joe is like, oh no, I don't want to like, don't put me in that. I have a more like, I laugh at the absurdity of it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's we're the few jobs. It's one of the few jobs where we're manifesting our soul. You know what I'm saying? And you know, yeah. So you have to believe. You have to believe, and you have to, you know, have fun and you know and see it through. And like, that's really, really dope. Like, you know, that's really dope. You know,
that's
the universe.
You thought it wasn't special enough. You was like, I don't know if it's your origin story. It's a humble origin story, but those nuances, I always ask it because it's, you know, especially for our listeners and self included, like, I like to know, you know, where do people take their turns? You know what I'm saying? Like, some people, we've had guests on the show that they just started drawing on the street. We've had guests on the show that, you know, like, were born into this privilege, and, you know, and yours, like, all of that came through, you know, your young cultivated talent, and then, you know, like, the academic story of going it through academia, and nothing is as good a teacher as failure, man. So, like, props for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask this.
Yeah,
You know.
Yes.
Oh no. Well, just one quick. With what all was said, and that is a lot. The universe is giving you a lot off the bat. So props for that, man. But I was trying to figure it out because I was looking at the work, and I don't think I asked when we was at WakandaCon, like just as far as just doing the work, you know, do you have particular people who inspire you? Who are some of your inspirations either now or just coming into the game?
So Anthony Jones was a big one for me because he's a black man, and he was like one of the only black people I'd seen doing what I was interested in, which is why I wanted to take his mentorship, and which is why I did. So he inspires me a lot, you know, his whole journey and his trajectory and all that. And the people he's introduced me to, there's another black artist. Her name is Sozo Micah. I'm really inspired by her work and, you know, how far she's come. Afua Richardson, you guys had her on. Anthony Jones introduced me to her also, just like online, and she's dope and incredible. Excuse me. Royce really inspires me.
Bless you.
Like, thank you. Yeah, Royce really inspires me. I know I just met him like the same year I met you guys, but like, he's on a roll, man. He's like worked, and I'm like, bro,
he's determined, man. He is. Yeah, he's on.
I'm like,
one too.
I don't know how to.
Shout out to Royce.
And I'm just like, man, I look at him, and I know you shouldn't compare, and I'm not even really comparing myself to him because I just feel like he wants something else. Whatever he wants is like, he's on his own journey, but I'm just like, how do you do all that? Like, he does so much, and so I'm just like, how do you do that? How do you just do everything? I don't know.
Just the push-ups. He gets up and does push-ups in the morning. No, I'm just kidding. He told me his battle plan at the show, and I was like, oh man, and he's at this point he's filling in the blanks, you know. So yeah, that's what's up. But yeah, so Royce, Anthony Jones, you got a fool. We got some names right there, man. That's some inspiring stuff, man. Inspiring people, I should say.
Yeah,
it's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Continue.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, it's really cool. Like, honestly, the trippiest thing is that, like, I've met Anthony Jones in person. Like, so a couple years ago, like the year before the pandemic, I went to a convention called Lightbox Expo where there was a bunch of industry artists and people there. And before that convention, Anthony Jones had invited me to like a meet and greet, like a meetup, you know, with some of the other artists. And it was really trippy. It was really crazy. And I just didn't, like, my brain was like firing on all circuits because I was just like, I went to this meet and greet, and like, he was there, so I got to meet him in person. And then like literally every single artist who I've watched on YouTube for the past, I don't know, 6 or 7 years was just in that room, and I didn't know how to act. And so it just tripped me out. It tripped me out. I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I just was like, I've been working a lot on just like the mental part of all of this, because like I really did not feel good enough to be in that room. I didn't feel like my work was good enough to talk to anybody, and that's very crazy. Like, that's just not, it's not healthy. I know that I know now it's not healthy, and I know why. At the time, I didn't, like, I knew it wasn't healthy, but I didn't know why it wasn't healthy to think like that, you know, because it's like you shouldn't put your self-worth and your value into your art. Like, your art is just like a thing you do, and you have inherent worth as a person. And I know that now, like, and I realized at the time, like, you know, that mindset dehumanizes everyone else. So you make it a problem where you can't relate to them because you make them not human. You make them higher than you. And I knew that was what was happening in my head, but I didn't know how to fix it. And I feel like I'm in a better place now to be able to talk to whoever, to not put anybody on such high a pedestal. Like, I've struggled with that a lot for the past several years, of just like not feeling good enough to just be places or put things out. And so I'm really fighting with I fight with myself all the time, just doing and just like not thinking about stuff, like, or just overthinking stuff.
Yeah, man, that's a powerful
interesting take. That's a really interesting take. I think we all, especially in the indie space, I think we all like go through that to some degree and handle it in weird ways, like, you know, and you know, because I know some people overcompensate, where it's just like, I'm the shit and I belong here. I belong with y'all. In fact, I'm better than y'all. Like, I know there's you know, and we all know that attitude that certain creators have, and you know, and people be like, just sit your ass down. Like, you ain't all there yet. And then I know for me personally, I deal with that by trying to demystify the stuff. Like a friend of mine, like, shout out to Theo, he was actually at that convention too. Like, you know, I remember he told me, he was like, you know, he got a funny voice. He's like, yo, D-Nick, you be just doing regular, you be doing amazing shit, and you be saying it like it's regular. I was like, because it doesn't make me any better. You know what I'm saying? Having that access doesn't make me any better, and you know, it don't make them better, and it's just, I don't want to, like, you know, to go to the classics, Public Enemy said, don't believe the hype, and I don't. Like, not my own hype, not nobody else's hype. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
it's really tricky, you know, to deal with that. But to be fair to yourself, I understand where that comes from, because, you know, and you know, you being talented visual artist you are, like, art is a manifestation of the soul. So it's soul-to-soul communication. So whenever you put your soul on display, you know what I'm saying, especially for commerce, you know, and other people, like, you know, their soul connects with it. You know what I'm saying? If they like your art, that's a piece of their soul connecting with your manifestation of your soul. Like, there's not too many parts of life that do that. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes us special, and that's also what makes us crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, man.
You know.
Yep, I totally agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's because it takes a lot of guts. When you look at the world, it takes a lot of really guts. And you know, and you play it on a humble note. You know, I was thinking to myself, well, I'm just on this line with two just humble people. Look at that. Well, I feel so blessed at the moment. But no, it for any of us who do this thing, it takes a certain amount of thing in your mind and your soul to say, you know what? Especially like you said, on a monetary sense, you know, to try to make a living doing it, or attempt to at least. Just put yourself out there in your artistic creations and say this thing is good enough for it to be where it is, you know, and draw for me, and draw some money. I mean, for me, and you know, a sense of you know, a way for me to make a living for myself. So it takes some guts to do it.
I mean, there's a cost to it, and a lot of people don't understand, like, when you got soul to soul communication and what that really means. Like, people see our artwork in any capacity, whether it's our writing, whether it's our music, or whether it's our, like, illustrations, and they have, like, who usually tickles your soul? It's a loved one. You know what I'm saying? So some people be mad at us because they like our art. Like, how dare you? I didn't give you permission to touch my soul like this. Some people, like, some people don't like our art and be like, you just assaulted me with this terrible piece of soul that you infected on my soul. Some people see our art and, like, they wanna hook up with us because it's like they're not used to people, like, touching their soul that isn't an intimate partner. So we have to juggle all of those emotions with the consumer. So, I say that to you to where, like, if you're feeling like you bugging or you feeling crazy and it's hard to get a grip, it's just because of that. You're not crazy. Nobody else has the gift or the burden to live like this. So, like, it doesn't make you crazy. It just makes you different. You know what I'm saying? I joke and call us crazy because it's funny, but, like, I joke, I say, yeah, we crazy because it's funny to say, but really, it's just that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, no, you're not.
Yeah, I appreciate that. One thing that's been helping me a lot, especially, like, recently. So I got into this YouTube channel called Healthy Gamer GG, and it's really cool. It's basically a psychiatrist who he puts out mental health content, and he talks to streamers, like popular streamers, about their mental health issues or just whatever issues they have. And it's very interesting because, like, a lot of what they talk about is just, it's not just isolated to them. It's very common, which is why so many people connect with that channel. And, something that's been helping me a lot with just the whole process, and it's something I have to, like, practice and, like, stretch this muscle, is just, like, to focus just on the actions of doing art, because I get so caught up in just, like, the thoughts of, like, everything that is scary about art and moving forward to me. Like, I'm just like, I don't know if anything is going to work out ever. I don't know at all. And so those thoughts scare me so much sometimes. I get so paralyzed. Excuse me. And so one thing that's been helping is just, like, trying to remember to, like, just focus. Like, you can't control literally anything else. You can't control how people are going to feel about it. You can't control how, like, right, who's going to be interested in it or what. All you can control is just, like, how much effort you put in, when and where, and, like, when and where you make that effort, Right. So, like, if I make a choice to, like, I'm going to, like, work on this comic for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours a day, or paint, for 4 or 5 hours a day, like, all I can control is, like, that decision, and that's, like, it. And so I'm just trying my best to remember that and not get caught up in just the thoughts. And it's just more so just kind of, like, being present and just, like, being here, in the moment right now, to just, like, do that and not worry about anything else, because literally anything else is not real, in the sense that, like, it's not a tangible thing in front of you that you can, like, touch. Like, you can make art and it'll be a print and it'll be in your hands. But the thought of, this is scary right now and I don't want to do it because I don't know how it's going to turn out, that's not anything real in, like, the world right now that you can grab onto, and you need to remember that. And so that's been that's helping me a lot.
That's dope. And like, I got to give you some credit. You're, of all, how many shows have we had, Joe?
Almost 80. I think this is 77. And
you're you're the first that at least since I've been on the show that I remember that maybe Joe and Chris have had others, but and Chris could probably say otherwise in the chat. But this is the first conversation that I can remember us having where we specifically talk about the mental health and stability of the creators and the toll that it takes on creators and the toll and all of that. A couple of shows ago we talked about the balancing relationships and all this stuff, and it's that's cool. That's that and that's interesting. The anxiety of being successful, or so I'm clear. Is it an anxiety of being successful, or is it a fear of failure, or is it just kind of both?
Both, literally both. Cause it's both. The fear of success, I guess, came from I felt like I was getting recognized by people and in spaces who had worked way harder than me to get there. The way that they described their efforts and what they put in and how much time they put in didn't match what I was doing. And so I felt really bad. And I was like, man, I don't work, just the idea that I don't work hard enough has been just a plague in my brain. That planted that thought in my brain. I don't work hard enough. But not in a good way, right? It just planted that seed of just you're just not doing enough. You're not going to be good enough to do anything that these people are doing. But somehow I was still getting recognized. And then that just really, it just messed with me a whole lot. Because then it just made me feel I don't know what to do right now. I don't know how to move forward. And then I'm recognized by folks, but I'm not close with them yet. I'm not friends with them yet. And, it just was so weird in it's different if you are growing, if you are in the trenches with people and going through the same kind of struggles, trying to get better at something together. I can understand that, and that's great, and that's how you become best friends with people who just come out the other end of it just mega great at the same time, and it's nothing. And getting recognized by people who I'm not close with, and I'm I don't know what to do with any of this. And then I'm also feeling I don't work hard enough, and so I'm well, I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. And so it just makes me procrastinate a whole lot. And it's not helpful. It's not helpful. It doesn't help me get anywhere. So I'm well, we got to figure this out. So I've just been trying for honestly the past decade, trying to figure out the mental health part of it. And the mental health journey has been the hardest one for me, honestly. The hardest and the longest one.
I think a lot of artists, even the ones who are super successful, you would think they wouldn't have any issues, monetarily, everything is working, and they'll still have deep-seated, I think I don't know, it's something to work with, but I think as a show, this is something we might have to have you back on, Jocelyn. Let's talk about us three and somebody else maybe to talk about just that, the mental toll that this thing takes on an artist. Which
I would literally love to talk about anybody with it.
Yeah, man. Because like D said, I don't know. I think we probably skimmed over it in a couple people we had on here, but never really, because they'll say something and it was driving me crazy, and we'll go past it and not really delve too much, just
casually brush it off, but never delve in. I will say this though, Jocelyn. I think whenever we have a friend of the show and a friend of ours, who, hopefully she'll mind me, saying this, Ashley Woods, who, also works on Lovecraft, being we're friends with her, Joe and Chris and myself, like that. Like that's the homegirl, you know. And to see her becoming a star, you know, like she's a rising star, you know, and she doesn't necessarily realize. I mean, she's aware of the accolades and, you know, all of that type of stuff, but it's you know, like to watch it happen in real time, you know, I understand like how crazy that whirlwind is. Shout out to Ashley Woods, you know, and I you know, and there is no way, you know, there is no answer to it. You know what I'm saying? There's you know, just like in Alcoholics Anonymous they say, and Addictions Anonymous they say, everybody's rock bottom is different. So the invert of that means that everybody's rise to the top is different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And you'll hear like 5 different stories from 5 different people. Like that's been the tale of this thing. You know, one of the things I did want to answer, and I know Dee's answer to this. We've talked when I had him on the show. I asked him about it. And I got a pretty direct answer. And me, you know, all of us have these conversations behind the scenes. But let me ask you this, Jocelyn, as it relates to, and you probably answered it a bit, you know, just a minute ago when we were talking about, you know, putting out work and, you know, the reasons and the whys behind it. But one of the things you know, is like we're in a tripped out climate now. We're in an ultra political correct, I'll cancel you in a minute climate when it comes to almost everything. We kind of saw it happening with comedians first, then certain actors, and now musicians, and so forth and so on. And this then kind of found its way into comics and literature and such. Does that, being it that we are in this, does that affect how you approach the work and then what you want to put out? Do you have any, or do you just, you know, go from the heart and say, hey, man, this is what I'm doing and I'm putting it out? Or does that come into play when you're doing your creation?
It affects it, but I don't think it affects it in a negative way. Like, I think it's important, you know, like I want to be conscious. Like, if I'm going to include any other kind of experience or writing in something I'm making that is not my own experience as a Black woman, you know, like as a relatively straight, cisgendered Black woman, like if I'm doing something that is including an identity or an experience other than that, I need to be conscious of like what that is and like what's the right way to do it, what's the wrong way to do it. Because I'm like, there's other people, you know, there are other people too whose experiences are just as valid as mine. And so I don't think it's like, in my opinion, I don't feel like it's like wrong. I don't feel stifled by it, you know, and in that same token, it's very much like I don't feel like I can't write something, you know, because of who's going to say whatever. I'm very much like, I'll write whatever I need to write and then edit later, and edit in the sense of like, you know, I'm aware that, you know, I like, just because I think I'm an okay person doesn't mean like I'm exempt from any kind of horribleness that is just instilled in me due to like society, due to, you know, whatever. Like, everyone has inherent biases, and I know I'm not exempt from that. So like, I'm not afraid to like be like, you know, like, yo, this is like ableist, or like you maybe have some internalized sexism. You might want to look at that. Are you like contributing to colorism right now? You should probably look at that. Like, is this like a weird white perspective somehow? Is whiteness internalized in you right now? Let's check on that. Let's look at that. Like, I'm not afraid to like do that. Like, I'm aware that stuff doesn't escape me just because I'm a Black woman. Like, we live in this society. We live in American society as Black people, and me as a Black, relatively straight, cisgendered white woman. What? cisgender Black woman. What is wrong with me? And you know, I just am aware that, you know, I'm not a perfect person. Like, I'm, you know, and no one comes out the womb knowing everything, and so I know I don't know everything, you know. Like, and as far as like people feeling like they can't make jokes, I don't agree with that. You know, people feeling like they can't write something, I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like maybe the things you might have been writing just weren't like you may not have valued the people you were talking about, which made you feel like you could talk about it that way, you know, or that person's perspective. You know, like the jokes or content that you might have been making may have been harmful to that group, but not harmful to you. So it didn't seem serious to you, you know. So it's just something it's important to consider, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yep. It was funny. The reason I asked that, we've been having some talks about it, and like certain things will happen, and this is directly in comics, man. If somebody will say, well, that should be, you know, they'll get offended by a joint you put in the comic. You're not saying anything offensive about a group or whatever. It's just some of the dynamics that happen within a comic, and you know, a person will feel. But you know, as a consumer, you know, you have a right to have your opinion, you know. But the person wrote to me specifically, and I had to look back and see, you know, it makes you kind of, now when I go into that, you know, you go into that space to start creating, you go, the moment I start feeling like, oh, this is gonna, I'm like, oh snap, maybe I should put down the pen. You know, it might be time. You know, you don't want to second guess yourself.
I don't think it should. I understand that thought process. I don't think it should lead to you feeling like I shouldn't write anymore. I feel like it, you know, like you can recognize that you're having that thought, and then like maybe just be like, okay, like I don't think it needs to be, because to me, when I hear you say like, oh, maybe I shouldn't write anymore, like maybe this is too much for me.
But you know what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. My bad.
I think what
I'll say this.
What Joe means.
I did make me
think what Joe means by that. I'm sorry, Joe. Oh, okay. I think what Joe means is that when, you know, good jokes or good material, whatever good means, good stuff and bad stuff comes from the same place. You know what I'm saying? And it, you know, sometimes like you can feel like, oh, this person intentionally says some wild stuff to, you know, stir some shit up, and this person didn't know that it was shit until it hit the fan and splashed everywhere, you know, and it's, you know, and there's, you know, everybody has to eat the cost of that, and, you know, and some people feel like they got to put the pen down until they figure out how to be the very, you know, the completely, you know, smooth, inoffensive, whatever they choose to be.
Or depending on how bad the offense is, the public might make you put down the pen. Go ahead. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to put that in there. You know,
I take the stance that art has the right to offend, and people have the right to be offended. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I agree with that. Like, I feel like, you know, it can't be helped, really. I feel like if you are writing something or making something and putting something out and you get backlash from it and you don't know why or, like, what is happening until, like, after the backlash comes, I feel like sometimes it's just inevitable. You know, like, I don't know that it can be escaped. Like, and it's not even so much that, like, because I think there's, like, a couple sides to this coin, right, of, you know, like, cancel culture. Like, I definitely think that, you know, people have every right to critique whatever they need to critique, and I think people's critiques, you know, can be valid. I definitely think that, context is important when you're critiquing things. Like, it can be scary how fast cancel culture can blow out of control, and I can understand that, like, it makes everyone feel, and that is valid. I also just feel like right now we're in such a big state of change, like within the past decade, like I'll say 5 years really, and then like last year was like floodgates are open, like people are really trying to make change in whatever way they can, and I just feel like everything is like I feel like it feels like all hands are on the table. It's like if we're trying to change stuff, we need to like unearth every rock of what is wrong, and and that's not going to work for everybody. But I do feel like that is kind of I feel like it's necessary. I feel like us collectively as like a country, we have a lot of problems. Like we live in like a hella capitalist. I feel like we live in a hella capitalist society. White supremacy is like rampant. White folks is on tilt right now. Systemic racism is like still affecting Black people exponentially, and like that's messing everybody up. And like people are trying to fix it really hard right now, and that's the feeling that I get. Is everybody's trying really hard to aggressively change stuff, and like that makes sense to me. It just makes everything hard, and so it's just kind of challenging. So my thing about the whole landscape of it all is just like just do your best to like listen to what people are saying, like what like real critiques, like legitimate critiques of whatever, especially of your own work, but just like whoever is getting critiqued, like listen to what people are actually saying, and see, like try to like dissect why people feel the way that, just to be in a space to learn and like just to understand like what is happening right now that is like what is like the root of the real offense, and this is me personally. I don't like to err on the side of like, oh, people are being sensitive or whatever. I don't like to err on that side. I always err more on the side of like, well, what are people really talking about? Like, what is really the issue here? And I know that I know myself, and I know that I don't know enough to sit up here and say to just anybody that like, oh, you're being sensitive. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, whoever is talking or complaining is probably experiencing something I don't know anything about, or I don't know enough about. Like I have a very limited life experience.
Yeah. Well, and no, but see, that was a great answer. That was a great and a very well thought out like response, because the initial, as an artist, when you hear something like that, you go, you kind of, it's a knee jerk reaction initially. But I'm not that guy who kind of goes, I am perfect. I'll do what you said. I'll kind of go, all right, well, let's see, because it could be something that this person experienced or whatever that triggered the person that I'm completely oblivious to. I don't know. So I do kind of, go, okay, maybe this did, but see, this is how I say it goes into the further work. So now, when I'm about to do things, I'm like this. When I'm putting a piece together, it's like this. Whoever's seen my stuff, and I don't know if you got the stuff, Jocelyn, but I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to do any of that, or at least purposely. But then again, of course, you can offend somebody not on purpose, right? Okay. So with that said, now going into the next piece you're about to do, now you kind of putting the microscope to your own stuff, going, all right, did I do this? Let me see. Because and then now the creative process is being, if you're doing that, it's like, like what Dee was saying about soul to soul. I'm not trying to, I'm trying to tell you a story, and in a very cliche way. Usually in my story, the good guys, man, everybody's happy, So it's that type of what's considered the good guys, at this point, who knows? That type of deal.
Yeah,
so,
I can.
So,
Yeah. I can absolutely understand that perspective. You know, I feel like, at least for myself, I will only speak for myself. I feel like, you know,
This is smart.
you know, it really is just, it's a tricky space, because I'm just like, you know, you can't go into it worrying about if you're going to be offensive or not. Me personally, I would always err on, like, you know, if I have even like a twinge of a feeling like this is probably racist, or this is probably like sexist or offensive, then I'm not even going to touch it, you know, until I can like really understand it at least a little better for myself. Like, you know, like if I don't know nothing about it, and I know I don't know anything about it, but I'm about to fix myself to write something or draw something about it, nah, I'm just going to be like, nah, I'm going to just hold off until I can figure out something else. Because
Be daring, Jocelyn. Be daring. Put the work out there. Just dare the people to. I'm messing with you. I feel you though. No, you know, I get that. I just, you know, like in that, but I guess all that to say, like, I don't feel restricted by that either. Like, I feel like my own experiences are valid enough, and I have, you know, like, skills to be imaginative and design things in a way that is interesting, that people can consume it and still relate to it, you know, because if it's my own experience, you know, like, I know my own experience. I'm a Black woman, and, like, my life is rich. The people around me are rich with stories. I have stories, even if I don't feel like, you know, my life is storied. I have stories, right? You know, and that's like enough for me. But like, I'm also not going into this like trying to be a professional. Like, I don't feel like a professional writer or anything. Like, so I don't write constantly every day. Like, you know, like my life doesn't entirely depend on writing something new every 3 months, or, you know, if that makes sense. So it's not something I'm deeply, deeply concerned about. You know, and like what I'm working on now, at least for myself, mainly involves my own experience, you know, but even in like some aspects of like other people's experience, but I'm doing a lot of research, you know, and I feel like a lot of people can tell if you are trying your, you know, like if you're doing your best. One thing I do notice about like this landscape, even if you get it wrong, people are okay if you get it wrong. The thing that really gets people is like the way you respond to the criticism. Like, that's really what messes people up. Is like, you could get it wrong, and like people will tell you what's wrong about what you did, you know, and that's great, you know. But where people really get tripped up is when like if your response to what they're telling you is just like not the greatest, that's what'll like send it spiraling, you know. But a lot of people are more forgiving than you might think, you know. Like if you did your, you know, if you put something out and you just genuinely didn't know about this thing that people are talking about is offensive, or you just didn't have that perspective or whatever, you know, people understand. Like, people are understanding. Like, a lot of people know, people don't come out the womb knowing everything, right? You know, and so it's just, I think it's just how you respond to people like trying to tell you something about what you did, you know, because it's also just kind of an honor that people feel strongly about whatever you did. It's, you know, it'd be different if nobody felt anything about what you did, you know, if it was boring and no one was interested in it, you know. Well,
so it's kind of, it's an honor.
You know what? You know, they say you say time flies when we're having fun. Guess what? It's almost that time. It's almost, you know, we got a little bit of time left, y'all. This has been a goodie, man. I have one more question, but D, if you got anything you'd like to ask Miss Jocelyn here, you can go ahead and go first, and we'll wrap it up. We got a few minutes.
You know, I'm curious. I always ask this when we have a guest, and you had mentioned something that really prompted me to ask this too. What is your creative schedule? You know, like Jocelyn is ready to, she's up ready.
I don't have one. I need one so badly. I feel very out of control every day. That's my very honest answer. Is I try really hard to keep to a schedule. It is just very hard because I do all of my work in my room, in my bedroom. I don't have like a separate office space or nothing. And so I work. It's challenging for me to stick to a consistent schedule. I will say that like roughly what my day to day is like I'll wake up, I'll eat. Like I'll probably wake up sometime between like 8 and 9:30. I'll eat. You know, I will just like take some time to like, you know, for myself, like watch some YouTube videos and just like relax and eat breakfast or whatever. And then I might work on something for a little bit. Then I'll take a shower. And then after I take a shower, I might work a little more, eat lunch, maybe take a walk, and then come back and work some more. And then that's my day. And then like after that is like whatever else.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
What are your guys' schedule? I feel like I don't want to be free spirit. I want to be structured and scheduled. What are you guys' schedule? I'm very interested, you know, to hear how you all manage everything you guys have going on.
We work. I'll speak for me. I work a couple like 9 to 5, which breaks, which you know can can take all the creativity out of the soul and spirit, and then I find like an hour or two to kind of, you know, push out, you know, what I'm doing, and you know, make it where I'm not too tired to enjoy it, you know. But no, just for the most part, like if I'm not, even if I'm at work, wherever I'm at, I'm usually in a state of it's always there in my head. So I'll like write down stuff, or and then if it's something really good, I'll come home and I'll just like, you know when you got something, whether you're drawing or writing or whatever. I'll come home and I'll really just start to go, okay, this is good, you know, and I'll put it down, and that's me, you know. I don't, and then I'll, you know, one of the things we always ask, if you listen to music, like, do you prefer quiet? Do you put music in the background? How do you?
I will listen. So the best time for me to listen to music is like if I already have got, like if I'm painting, I'll listen to music if I already have planned out what I'm going to draw, like the structure of whatever I'm going to draw or paint. Once that's done, then I can put on like music and listen to whatever, or like listen to a long YouTube video or something of, you know, some interview with someone or whatever. I'll do that. I like to listen to instrumentals. Those are good. That's just good music to listen to, like you're working. I find it harder to focus with music that has lyrics if I'm working. And it's mostly like video game soundtracks or just like some kind of lo-fi playlist on YouTube. You know, it's always good and nice, and it gets to a whole mood. Sometimes I have to be careful though, because like I have to catch myself when I'm just procrastinating, because I'll just spend time trying to find something to listen to, and that doesn't help you get anything done. So, but if I know, like, if I'm being structured and like maintaining consistency, it is helpful sometimes to just, you know, put on a good soundtrack or some lo-fi music or whatever, and just like get going. It helps pass the time.
D, you got like a couple minutes to speak about your process, and you got a cool shot.
Man, but my schedule changed due to the pandemic, but generally now, you know, I like work from home, do my lesson plans, and send those off, and I take naps in the afternoon, and I'll wake up like in the evening, and then when I wake up, I create. It's late, it's dark, it's, you know, and then, you know, like right now I'm done with writing the comic book, you know what I'm saying? So that schedule is not happening right now. I don't have my comic book writer schedule thing anymore. Like me and Spicy are over that hump. So like now I'm just writing the music for the book. So I listen to, I go through topics, I listen to beats, I write choruses. Sometimes it's scattered, where I'll just write some lines and, or I'll write a whole verse or write a whole song. And I just, my creative process is usually at night and to the wee hours of the morning. I try to wean myself off at like 3 unless I'm really in the zone, and then it's just going to be a long morning. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I take naps in the afternoon so I can be refreshed and create, in the late night.
I had talked to D one time. It was weird. It was like one time it was like 10 in the morning, and I was 9 o'clock, and then one time we like 2 in the morning. And I thought to myself, I said, man, do you sleep? I just asked. You're always kind of, on this plane and some. But yeah, I love that. I love to always hear like the processes of everybody. Next time you come on, Josh, we're gonna have to get your top 5, hip hop or just music in general. We can't get it now because the time has run out. But that being said, this was a fun show. I really enjoyed it. I got a lot of gems out of it. I hope the people listening got some gems out of it. It was a lot of good conversation. For anything that you got or you want people to know where to find you, Jocelyn, give them your social media or where they can see your stuff, on the internet, is where they can find you.
Sure thing. So, first things first. So my website is jocelynshort.com. So that's www.jocelyn. My Instagram is just _JocelynShort. Like I said earlier in the episode, I'm working on this Bears comics, which I'm very excited about. I don't know how to write a comic, but I'm doing my very best. And I'm planning to have the first issue out by the time BlurCon rolls around, which will be in July, hopefully sooner than that. But that's what's coming up for me. There's Bears art coming. I'll be posting and being more active this week. So that's what's coming for me. Yes.
So,
website,
like I said earlier, put me down for the Bears number 1 or 0, whichever you're gonna take, and the art book. I'm really interested in that. Like I said, all of us. I think Chris got some too. All of us got some of the work. So you already got some fans here. So when you drop that joint, post it or hit me with it, and I'm picking up one. So yeah. So, but yeah, yeah, man. Everybody listening, this has been a nice one, man. This is one of them ones, man. I'm gonna have to go back and kind of reflect on my life when this is done. But once again, Josh, you gonna ever come back and visit us for another one of these sessions?
Of course. I had a blasty blast. I would love to come back anytime. I'm happy to talk about whatever. Okay. I'm happy. Yes.
With the heart and the muscle right there, with the heart and the muscle, that's what I'm about, man. So we'll figure it out as what it's gonna be going forward. But man, thank you for having us. I don't want them to knock us off. So appreciate
it, Josh. Thank you so much for
everybody.
Having me.
Yes,
no doubt.
Woo. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jocelyn Short, the creator of the Bears. She's a fantastic artist. She gave her website, jocelynshort.com, or just look up Jocelyn Short, JOCELYN, on Instagram, and you can see some incredible work that we've been talking about this episode. But yeah, man, that was one of them ones, man. That was a lot of good conversation, man. A lot of good. Just like you said, D, I don't think we've ever really approached the whole mental toll it takes on an artist, and that, like I said, I think somebody was probably reaching out, and we just kind of like went past it in other episodes, but it's definitely something to talk about, and it's definitely something I've heard, especially with this pandemic, boy. Whew, it just kind of, everybody sheltered in to kind of just expose a lot of that, but. This has been a great one, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. People who are going to listen on later, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next 2 weeks, we're going to have another show. I believe we're going to have Dave Walker on here. We're going to talk about a lot of things as it relates to what he's doing in this industry, man. There's a lot of in his camp. But that being said, D, give him your credentials so we can go ahead and get on out.
Oh, man, you can find me, the Microphone Misfits on Instagram, Microphone Misfits on Twitter, the Microphone Misfits on Facebook, and if you have trouble with all of that, you can just go to the microphonemisfits.com, and it'll plug you to every one of those social media handles. That's TheMicrophoneMissfits, the Microphone Misfits. Who else could it be?
The legends. Chris Turner, he's at DialXS, so go to DialXS, DialXCES.com, or you Google DialXS, DiCES. His stuff will come up. Joe Currie, everything that's Punks of Rage, PUNXofRAGE. You Google it, you get everything, including this show. So thank you, everybody, for listening tonight. Thank you, D. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for our special guest for hanging out with us, man. It's been one. Peace, everybody.
Yes, yeah.
The violators, knuckleheads, crumbs, and chain snatchers, terrorizing with numbers, attitude, and stature. Playing tough guys, but really chatty patties, picking on innocent women and children like Gabby, Packy. Driving Rage City furious, but the one bringing the fight to them, serious. Put hands on you, feet and elbows. She's down to knuckle up with any and all foes. Her bros, B-boys, roughneck skaters. Rico, Charles, known as the Jawbreakers. Handle you today and not manana. With the one-woman army they call Azana. Biker, duplicator, putting you in traction with the divine cleric and elder name Reaction. Vigilante justice, no apologies. Geneticists with bronze, we lead to prodigy. Speaking of brawn, this last hat's a massive titan. 3 bats, a hockey mask, and a knack for fighting. The Dodger, smash your head and rib cage. Violators beware, they are the punks of rage.